So we are having this very special chat with the individual who was regular on ET Now for years when he was heading the amazing organizations which he had built. But now in his new position, he doesn't come very often. So today it's a pleasure to be chatting with Mr. Bhaskar Bhat, director at Tata Sons now. He is joining us from the sidelines of JM India conference. Mr. Bhat, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for your time and agreeing for this interaction.
Hi.
So, Mr. Bhat, let's start
Thank
by
you for
chatting with
inviting me.
Right, sir. So, you are making this presentation at the JM conference on India, the multi-decade opportunity. Now, I'm curious to know, how did you choose this subject, and how durable and robust does this multi-decade opportunity look to you?
Yeah, that's what I started with, and the multi-decade opportunity we should not confuse as driven by just demographics and population and so on, which is what I talked about. The multi-decade opportunity is a combination. Our population growth rates will stop. I mean, it's already stopped declining, the growth rate, but the inflection point will come after 10 or 15 years. But still, the value adding population, which is going to grow to about 760 million by 2060, if I'm not wrong, that keeps growing. So the 21 to 64 age group is going to keep growing, and that is one part of the consumption story. But I spoke about all the enablers which are in place, and there are more and more happening thanks to regulation, thanks to government action, which is the technology stack and so on, as well as corporate action, which is investments and innovation. So the consumer story in India is going to play out over several decades. If you take just the mobile phone and internet penetration in this country and the cost of data, it's changing habits of Indians. Consumption, entertainment has become a consumer product. It's getting consumed rather than just being experienced. So, and it's because the cost and access is being provided. So there are many enablers, and it's not just the sheer size of the population, and that's what I believe in, that it's going to take the population itself. The 21 to 64 is continuing to grow. That will be an opportunity. Their aspirations are growing thanks to exposure and ability to access goods and services that they value, and the desire to improve the quality of their life that is organic, that doesn't need any counterintuitive thinking. It's not driven by corporate action. And corporates are working, certainly the Tata Group is working towards fulfilling those.
Right. Mr. Bhatt, let's talk about this consumer-led boom which you're talking about, and it is quite very well reflected in many categories as well. But one is observing that, in fact, even the income tax return data does indicate that 1 crore and plus kind of income tax assessees have doubled. But the 5 to 10 lakh or around 5 lakh income assessees have remained flat. Now we are hearing terms such as K-shaped recovery. We are talking about Mercedes, Audis, and luxury condominiums kind of getting off the shelf. But other volumes, the more discretionary kind of stuff, the volumes in consumer is flattish. How do you define this two kind of worlds, and what do you make of it?
Ajay, I just want to revisit that topic. And I said multi-decadal. I mean it. See, these are blips. there is a challenge at the lower middle class of this country because of inflation, job creation, lack of job creation, underemployed youth, etc., which is real. It is leading to certain stresses in the lives of people, and while at the other end prosperity is just going up. But India has proven time after time to correct those, and that India does that slowly but surely. So when you talk about the luxury car segment, there is a value-seeking Indian consumer who has found that, transportation in this country, there is access, but there are price points at which there are no cars. Okay, Indian industry will get it and will deliver. It may take some time. So I see these as temporary blips, but the larger problem, which is of employment, is something which needs to be addressed, and corporates and government are working towards enabling that from happening. The reality has changed. It's no longer, all of you know that it's no longer skilling of the old kind, which is the likes that the ITIs used to run, but now it's new age skills, and that is happening, albeit slowly, but it's happening surely.
Right. Mr. Bhatt, what are your thoughts on the way the growth is happening? Corporate India growth, wages growth, income growth as far as, different strata of our economy is concerned. Because multi-decadal growth, will require growth in all these categories, right?
Yeah, but whether it is democratized, equal growth rates, it doesn't happen ever in any economy. I mean, if an economy is able to achieve that is like the sea, it rises, across. It doesn't happen. It will, however, the current structure of the Indian economy as well as governance in India will ensure that inequality will drop. And there are initiatives in place. I would say that the Indian citizenry works towards equality, and I'm only saying that this job creation or non-creation of jobs is a temporary phenomenon, and it may be 3-5 years before we come back to employing our youth fruitfully. The gig economy, for example, the so-called freelancing that is happening, that's not captured in the economy. The very small enterprises, those are not actually stressed. It is the employment market which is stressed. So therefore, Indians find a way of getting out of this problem, and I'm not saying I have solutions, but I have hope.
Mr. Bhatt, you made also a very important point on the role technology will actually play for this growth, be it India Stack, the way Indian consumers are spending, the way Indian consumers are having access to credit. How meaningful is that? And do you think that this angle is also underrated, that the deepest part of the country, people are adopting technology like never before, they have access to credit like never before, and this will going to have impact on various categories of services and product consumption over decades?
Yeah, I spoke about it in the presentation today. Access to credit and technology providing access in the remotest parts of the country, as well as corporates, making it easy for accessing credit, is what we call in the group, I want to own it and own it now, because I can pay for it over a period of time. That is also changing consumption. It is, again, nothing happens really in India in a cataclysmic way, but it is happening and it is visible. We can see it, the credit cards or the likes of the financial services companies, which are doing such a fantastic and innovative job of delivering credit, including RBI actually is enabling microcredit as well, and there is innovation happening. I know there's a Bangalore company, startup, which is working on this with the help of RBI to deliver microcredit for those street vendors and very, very small businessmen, self-employed businessmen.
Mr. Bhatt, there is I want you to tell me or explain to our viewers as well, because on the one hand, there's genuine need for credit for the unbanked India. The impact of it will be, the beneficiaries of it would be products and services providers in the corporate world, but also the social cause of the government, the regulator, that gets fulfilled when this is achieved via technology. But the risks, regulators and all of us, even manufacturer of services, will have to be cognizant of risks on the way these days, IT related risks. I don't need to explain it to you, sir, but risk on the bad debt side, risk on fraud and all of that. So how should we contain that as well?
Yeah, I can share with you, the credit risk is not as high as people make it out to be. In fact, the common man is more responsible about repaying his debt than many others, the more wealthy people. Okay, the more powerful and the more wealthy know how to game the system. But the common man, and I can tell you of a real experience of a very, very old traditional organization in a place called Dharmasthala, where the Dharmadhikari, Dr. Virendra Hegde, has done this for years to the local villagers, and he doesn't even have 0.5% NPA. So that is the Indian ethos. But when you talk about cyber crime, and that is again Indian jugaad, the smarter, underprivileged youth who have the same technology has helped them to game the system and take away money from people's wallets. There is serious work that the government is doing under the current IT minister on enabling, first protecting the small user of the technology, but it's not enough. There are, including cybercrime police stations. There's one police station in Bangalore where you can actually go and complain, and there's not enough ecosystem to protect a simple individual from that kind of crime. Yes, you're right, but government is aware of this, and there is work that is going on. But again, Ajay, this is something that will play out over a period of time, and we should not stop the microcredit just because we fear. We should begin to educate, train, set up the system to protect, and then move forward. We should not stop. This is my view, and I think the same technology which has enabled this will also help protect.
Fair point. Mr. Bhatt, give us a glimpse of, I don't want to go into the details of the Tata Group, each of the companies, but you're working with them, you have worked for them for a long time as a business leader, now as the director of Tata Sons, and you've worked across categories. Just give us a glimpse of what kind of categories are looking good, and From your vantage point, if you could share some observations.
I think everything I shared today, everything is looking good. And when I said multi-decadal, I also meant multi-category. You know, everything I, I, I spoke, if you don't grow in India, you're not relevant. It's not, it's by how much you grow, that is, are you at least ahead of the GDP growth rate? Are you ahead of the category growth rate? Are you ahead of the industry growth rate? Those are the questions to ask. So if I were to take lifestyle retail in the group, that is just racing ahead in the form of Trent and Titan. If I were to look at FMCG in the form of Tata Consumer Products, if I were to look at pure retail, Chroma, all of these, I think the group's focus and ability to get the model right has improved over the last few years, and we are racing towards dominating or at least leading in each category. If I were to take airline, which is not really consumer, you can call it travel, it's a big bet the group has taken, and we will get it right. And the opportunity in travel or in hospitality, IHCL, these are all staring us in the face, the multi-decadal opportunity. Airport, the enabler, government has already, I think there are about 150 airports now to which you can easily fly a A320 or a 737. So connectivity has improved considerably, and it's only going to further improve. So every category where ordinary Indian wants to, let's say, improve the quality of his life is enabled, including, I spoke to you about the data being at such a low cost, and therefore access to information, not just physical travel, just without traveling to be able to access information, has been enabled quite significantly at a low cost.
Right. You brought up, some of the points. Sir, we were ourselves looking with amazement the way IHCL numbers for last few quarters are turning out, and the commentary from the management. Same goes for Trent. People have been calling it expensive for such a long time. The performance over there is so good that everybody wants to pile up on that particular stock. But I'd like to scratch that point of aviation a little more, sir. When we travel around ourselves, when we look at the data, there is massive growth. How much time do you think the group will take to scale up the offerings and completely turn it around into, the Air India opportunity I'm talking about, more routes, more flights, much more refreshed offering? How much time will it take for meaningful change to start coming in? Because there is big opportunity, but time is ticking, right?
There's nothing called time is ticking. I mean, I know, people expect a rapid change, but the company has taken actions, you're aware of it, it's going to take time for the planes to arrive. So the CEO has made statements about how every 6 days a new aircraft will come into the fold, and there is a certain period of time for transformation, and you have to give it that. Can it be faster? On some it can be on the customer experience, and there is an airline called Vistara which is improving every day. There is Air India which is improving every day, but the pace, people expect it to grow faster. But there's no question the determination to get it right and get it absolutely right is there. But there are some parts for which you can't speed up the pace. For example, the hardware, which is the aircraft itself. I believe the opportunity far outstrips the problems that we have, but the responsibility also that we have to deliver the right experience is also high on Air India's mind. So what should I say? I can say at the worst 2 years, but it will happen earlier, I'm sure. I can't say on behalf of Air India anymore because, it's a separate company, and, the nitty-gritty of it is known to the management of that company.
No, I appreciate it, Mr. Bhatt. Thank you very much for giving us the flavor of the group's view on all the consumer companies, and of course the bird's eye view which you are taking for this multi-decadal opportunity. I really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you very much for your time.